Thank you for your patience. I'd like to welcome you to this webinar and thank you for investing your time in learning the art of delegation and delegating with ease. My name is Phil Bajura and I am honoured and feel very privileged to have gained significant business knowledge throughout my 30+ years in senior management within the corporate food industry, and in the last 14 years of being in business for myself. During that time, I've been responsible for implementing significant cultural change in many different and varied business environments, and I look forward to sharing some of this experience with you today. We have a lot to cover, so please take as many notes as you need, and if you have any questions, please type them into the chat box. If you haven't already, please open your chat box now. So whether you're in a new position and need advice, or you're looking to refresh your skills, you've now come to the perfect place. If you're stuck in the mindset of, if I want something done, I have to do it myself, then you're likely adding a bunch of unnecessary stress to your plate. Remember, what we think about and the self-talk we give ourselves will determine the results that we get. Change your mindset and self-talk to, say for example, I'm great at delegating tasks that will free up my time. When you're in a leadership position, it can be challenging to let go of your power and give the work that you've been entrusted to do to another person. If this sounds familiar to you, practice making it a priority to let go. Start small and delegate a task that doesn't hold much weight in terms of how the outcome will affect things. Let's take a moment to put this in the context of a household chore. Say like teaching a child to wash dishes. It might seem easier for you to just do the task yourself, given the fact that you've been doing it for so long and you're familiar with it. But if you can teach the child to wash the dishes, you can spend your time working on that bigger home project that needs your attention. By taking the time to guide the child through the ins and the outs of washing dishes, you're not only helping them build their abilities and skills, but you're also allowing yourself some time and space to make the best use of that time. Delegation allows you to focus your attention on the high-level tasks, thus creating a more functional system for the business or the household overall. At the same time, you're teaching your team members new skills. Workplace success is intertwined among the team, and each team member is most successful when they feel empowered. After all, when they succeed, you succeed. TheBalanceCareers.com writes, empowerment is the process of enabling or authorizing an individual to think, behave, take action, and control work and decision-making about their job in autonomous, independent, self-directed ways. It is a state of feeling self-empowered to take control of your destiny. While it's your job as a supervisor or manager or team leader to make the big picture decisions, fostering employee empowerment through involvement will enable your team members to contribute their best effort. If you're new to delegating, it's important to start slowly. When delegating, your goal should be to build up both your delegating abilities as well as your team members' ability to take on the additional responsibilities. To do this, delegate a low priority task. This will allow both you and your team member to test the water of delegation. Too often, people make a habit of delegating to whoever has the lightest workload or whoever happens to be close by and convenient. Instead of falling into this habit, consider who has the most significant number of relevant skills for the task. Consider their DISC profile and how they will be able to adapt to a new task or situation. When considering their DISC profile, think about how you may need to explain what you are delegating in different ways for each different style. Another thing to keep in mind is each individual's range of skills, the potential to grow, and their own individual goals. Before delegating tasks, it's crucial to trust that everyone on your team can take on the responsibility of the task at hand and can make their own decisions. Do you think your team is ready? Assign a project to your team with every task delegated. Ensure you have complete faith in their ability to complete the task. When a project is due, answer the following questions. And you might want to write these down. Firstly, is the project complete? Has everybody finished what they were assigned? And is the quality up to your standard that you expect? Or does it look sloppy and finished at the last minute? If everything is completed to your satisfaction, that's great. If not, examine where the project fell short, then try again. To ensure success, it's best if you can provide or at least explain the task in its entirety to whoever you're delegating to. Make sure that the person tasked with the work understands the overall objective and purpose of the project. What are the important aspects that might require some extra time and effort, as well as any background information that can help clarify why the project was put in place. When your team is aware of the big picture, they work well together and are more likely to succeed. If you're not already in the practice of providing your team with a big picture, try it out. Deadlines must be clearly defined in order to be met. If the project has multiple components, make sure the team knows exactly when each element of their project is due. Create a Gantt chart of the key task components of the project with the timeline associated with each task. Understanding their DISC profile will help you identify which styles will be good at keeping deadlines and which styles may be distracted in staying on track to meet a deadline. If you're new to delegation, you're working with a new team, or are trying this for the first time, try making a schedule for your team to follow. Having a visual spreadsheet or checklist will provide your team with something to refer back to if necessary. Involving a team in the big picture will ensure that they feel as if they are part of the whole initiative. It is important to outline what the key goal or objective is, why it is important, what learning may be required, and then set up a plan of action, preferably with the team member or members involved. You can't just expect your team to know precisely what you want from them. In addition to providing critical aspects of the project, make a list of everything that you can think of that will help your workers with this project. Remember, true communication is the response you get, despite your best intention. To give an example, I spent some time in Papua New Guinea, and one day I was down the back of the factory having a chat with my expat colleague, Tom, and whilst we were talking, he called Bocky over, who was one of the nationals. He said to Bocky, see the rubbish over there in the corner of the paddock, can you grab the ute, put the rubbish in the back, and then take it down to the back corner and burn it. So Tom and I were talking, and about 15 or 20 minutes later, Tom said, hey Phil, where's Bocky? And we looked around and we couldn't see him, and about another 10 minutes later, he came walking up the road. And when he got up to us, Tom said, Bocky, where's the ute? And Bocky's response was, but boss, you told me to take it down the back and burn it. So I did. Just to give you an example of how true communication is the response you get. When you're delegating, check that your team has understood clearly what you have communicated by asking them to repeat back to you what they have understood that you've asked them to do. When leading a team, it's essential for your team to feel they can approach you with any questions, concerns, or just to bounce some ideas around with you. Some things to keep in mind when implementing an open door policy: if a team member comes into your office with an idea, don't shut it down right away. Listen to what your team member is saying and really think about it. Allow other team members or allow others to build their own path by allowing them to have a voice in the process. Recognise strategies different from yours might be quite brilliant. If a team member comes to you with a problem, train them to bring a minimum of 2 solutions that they have already considered. If you have certain expectations or a picture of the outcome that you're looking for, share it. Your expectations shouldn't be a secret. Your team members would rather that you share exactly what you are looking for rather than making them guess. This sets up a successful outcome for everyone. Many leaders have success allowing others free rein over delegated tasks. However, this doesn't mean merely assuming that work is being accomplished. Set up project check-ins so that you're in the loop of progress. This will keep both you and your team members on a cohesive timeline. Remember, these solid due dates, those solid due dates that you established. For long-term projects, set specific checkpoints to ensure milestones are being met along the way. If you see that something isn't right, whether it's unfinished work or errors, step in. But at the same time, be careful to avoid micromanaging. If it looks like a project might not finish in time or a team member has lost focus, step in and offer a hand. Ultimately, you are in charge and responsible for the outcome. If something does go wrong and you aren't able to finish in time, don't blame your team. Involve your team with a post-mortem study for what you could have done better or what you could improve upon in future. Put together a constructive plan to resolve the roadblocks that got in your way. Think back to past projects when you were the person being delegated to. Share how you felt during the project. Did you complete the project successfully? What did you like about how you were delegated to, and what would you have changed? It's important to share your experience and how you will learn from your experience to be a better delegator. When delegating a project or task, it's important to identify the measurements or the outcome that you will use to determine that the project was successfully completed. Take a moment to consider a past project that wasn't as successful as it could have been. Start from the beginning and determine what would have been appropriate and measurable outcomes that you could pursue. You may want to foster a means of expressing gratitude to your team when a project is successfully completed. Positive recognition reinforces the employee's positive self-image, sense of accomplishment, and belief that they are a contributor. It is important to celebrate every small win along the way. Write this down. How will you celebrate the small wins with your team, and what can you do to reward others for a job well done? A big key to delegating effectively is being in touch with your team. Knowing who is best suited for certain tasks will go a long way in delegating appropriate work. You might have one employee who excels in big picture brainstorming ideas and another one who does better with detail-orientated tasks. Knowing what each person can bring to the table is crucial in deciding where and how to best delegate tasks. As a certified DISC and Motivators assessors, I can arrange for the right tools to assist you in getting to know and understand what inspires and motivates your team members in the workplace. Let me explain. For more than 20 years, Assessments 24/7 has provided business consultants, executive coaches, and Fortune 500 companies with the instruments to optimize hiring processes, boost employee productivity, and maximize performance. Assessments work by introducing scientific measurements to someone's critical thinking skills, their motivations, potential skill proficiencies, work styles, behavioural characteristics, and personal values. In getting to know your team, today we are focusing on the DISC and Motivators. The DISC profile centres around 4 categories of behaviour. The first one being discipline, the second is influence, the third is steadiness, and the last major style is conscientiousness. This helps us to, firstly, enable us as individuals to better understand the way that we think and act. Secondly, allows us as individuals to learn how we can adapt our styles to improve communication and relationships with our peers, superiors, and customers, and also in family and social situations. And then thirdly, it allows you as a leader to better understand the different profiles of your team and how you can improve communication, delegation, and overall team performance. The motivators part of the assessment measures variances among 7 key dimensions, that is, the drivers of personal motivation. Firstly, there's aesthetic, a drive for balance, harmony, and form. Economic is a drive for economic or practical terms. The third one is individualistic, a drive to stand out as independent and unique. The fourth one is power, a drive to be in control or have influence. The fifth one, altruistic, is a drive for humanitarian efforts, help others altruistically. Regulatory is a drive to establish order, routine, and structure. And then finally, theoretical, a drive for knowledge, learning, and understanding. The Motivators assessment is able to offer the practical applications and insights necessary to maximise performance and project outcomes. This is great in helping you make informed decisions. For example, maybe you were looking for a salesperson and need an outgoing personality. Or maybe you're looking for a designer and want a vision-orientated creative person. A single task can be effectively completed in a dozen different ways, and your way may not be the right way for someone else. DISC assessments will help you to understand why this is and why you're with your different team members. Embrace creativity and ask for feedback about the instructions you provided. If circumstances allow, encourage your associates to try new ways of completing the tasks. You never know, they could come up with a method much better and faster, which never would have occurred to you. Point 7 in the 7 keys to a winning team is to know and understand your people. I'll be covering the 7 keys to a winning team in my next webinar on the 18th of July. You can find this webinar on Eventbrite, and which you may be interested in registering for that event too. And I will make sure that we have the right login code for the Zoom call. Take note of the following tasks to set up your team for ultimate success. So please write these down. Number 1, decide what to delegate. Number 2 is pick the right people for the task. 3 is communicate clearly. Number 4 is check in, but don't be overbearing or micromanage. And then number 5 is celebrate the wins and share in rewards. Give credit where it is due. I'll just repeat those again so that you can make sure you've got them written down. Is 1, decide what to delegate. 2, pick the right people for the task. 3, communicate clearly. 4 is check in, but don't be overbearing or micromanage. And then 5 is celebrate the wins and share in the rewards. Do you have any tips to add that have contributed to your success with delegating? Does anyone have any questions or experiences that they would like to share? Please type them into the chat box now. Okay, so we haven't had any questions come in. This webinar has been put together for you by using information from the following sources. HBR.org was an article in 2017, to be a great leader, you have to learn how to delegate well. Another resource was www.meistertask.com, delegate tasks effectively. www.inc.com, Jason Demers, 7 strategies to delegate better and get more done. www.mindtools.com, new LDR _98 was an HTM, and www.briantracy.com, leadership success. So any materials that from Brian Tracy, I highly recommend as a great reference source for learning some extra about delegating with ease. So today's offer for you is, if you are serious about delegating with ease, building a better culture into your business, getting to know and understand yourself, your team members and your customers is a great starting point. As a reward for investing your time and interest in learning how to delegate with ease, I'm offering you access to the DISC and Motivators assessments for $119, which is normally priced at $199. And this does include a one-to-one debriefing on you and your team's reports. This offer will remain open until the 10th of June, and you must email me now to take advantage of this offer. Please reach out if you have any questions or concerns. I'm here to help. Thank you so much for okay, so we have had one response. So far, none. The company I work for needs work on this. So, all right, I'm happy to have a discussion with you, Rachel, on that one. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to join me. Delegating is a skill just like any other, and it's a skill which you can learn. It's essential to know your own strengths and weaknesses as a leader to be a successful delegator. If you're new to delegating, don't be discouraged when projects don't work out. Instead, use the opportunity to improve your skills. I absolutely love getting to chat with you today, and I hope that you learned something valuable. If you have any further questions, please post them in the chat box or email me at philbajura@actioncoach.com.